But one of the worst feelings and most preventable feelings is thinking that you're deeper in with a guy than what you actually are. One of the worst feelings is whenever you're the only one that's falling in love. You've fallen in love all by yourself. I don't know how many people can relate to this because a lot of y'all ain't gonna want to keep it real with me because there's shame there and you shouldn't feel any shame. But have you ever felt like the way that you and the guy were engaging, the way that y'all were talking, the way that y'all were sharing, even though there was no relationship established, that to you signified that y'all were deep in, at least seriously dating. You had real feelings involved. But then you go out with the friends or whatever, and he introduces you as his homegirl or his friend. Or he makes some type of comment that makes it clear that y'all ain't nothing more than just getting to know each other, just talking. Meanwhile, in your mind, you thinking, hold on, that we not just talking. We done had sex. We done had sex raw. I be rubbing your back. I done clip, you know what I'm saying, clip your toenails. I done did all this stuff, made recommendations for your kids and what they could wear to school and stuff like that. I done did this, that, and the other. And you talking about we just friends? Who gonna keep it real enough with me? Whether it was recent or a long time ago, put I down in the chat if you ever got the idea from a man's actions that y'all were really deep in working on something serious just to get hit with the reality check of how he really felt. And you were the only one that had any real feelings invested. The reason why is because you didn't know how to read whether or not a man was truly invested. I was actually just telling the sister this after my last webinar. Some of y'all have seen it, some of y'all have not. I did a free masterclass recently called How to Stop Being His Internship. And that's a whole another subject. But afterwards, we did a Q&A like I normally do. A sister asked, how do I know when a guy's emotionally invested? Because I feel like I just got duped. I feel like I just got duped. And of course, I asked some more questions. And long story short, she thought because the guy was spending money on her and he worked so hard for his money, that meant he was emotionally invested. Clearly, he's financially invested. I had to let her know, no, a guy will go to a club and spend money. I'm talking about throw money on a complete stranger and have zero emotional investment. It all depends on how he sees his money and stuff. Yes, there are guys who work hard for theirs and therefore they're not going to just sacrifice and that kind of thing. But there are some common denominators that are dang near universal amongst men that let you know that he's emotionally invested. The first one is when he starts his day with you and wants to end his day with you. That's one of those universal codes for men. I'm not going to say literally every single man, but most men want to start their day with the person or people or things that's going to give them the best chance to have a good day. And so if that's you, he's starting to get emotionally invested in you. And when I say good, I'm talking about emotionally good, feel good, smile on his face, encouraged. If that man starts his day with you, not just a good morning, beautiful, but good morning, phone call, conversation, this is what I got planned, what you got planned. And he wants to end his day with you because men like to end their day with who gives them peace, with who lets them emotionally soothe and settle down and stress relieve before they go to sleep. If that man don't talk to you unless he has a chance to have sex with you, that don't count. If the only reason why he ended his night with you is because he knows he's going to be able to get physically relieved, that don't count. But if that man starts his day with you and ends his day with you, he's either already emotionally invested or heading that direction. Another sign that lets you know that a man is either already there or getting emotionally invested is whenever he shows you with consistent action that your needs are a priority to him. Not whenever he gets to him, not when it's convenient, not whenever he ain't got nothing else more important to do. But when you express that you need something from him, you desire something from him, whether it be a check-in, whether it be honesty, just whatever, a consistent date night, you only got to say it one time. If you find yourself saying it 3, 4, 5 times, at best, you're just not a priority to him and he's not emotionally invested. At best. Because sometimes he could be blatantly playing in your face, thinking that he ain't really tripping if you come and go, because anything that's inconvenient to him ain't worth it, including you. But if he's showing you consistently with his actions, not his words, not his promises, not his love letters, not his text messages, that your needs are a priority to him, not the number one most important thing in his whole life, but you don't find yourself repeating yourself over and over and over again about things that you need from him, yeah, that man's emotionally invested. Another way that you know that he's emotionally invested is if he makes time for you daily with no excuses. And I'm talking about throughout the day here. I know this sounds like a lot. Oh, he starts the day with me. He ends the day with me. Guess what? Men will attach themselves to what they feel like gives them a better quality of life. You ever try to come between a gamer and his NBA 2K or his Call of Duty? Y'all ever dated one of those guys that play video games? I don't know how many ladies that have dated a man that loves video games, put I down in the chat, because somebody need to know how serious a man is whenever something puts a smile on his face, when something is important to him. Boy, ain't nothing harder to come between than a man who loves video games and his video games, or his sports, or his drinks, or him and his homeboys. So if that man is making time for you throughout the day, like no matter how busy he is, and trust me when I say, I get it being busy, I got businesses and stuff like that. Man, look, Barack Obama make time for his wife. You could be the busiest man, most important man in the world. If that woman is somebody you're emotionally invested in and tied to, not only are you going to want to talk to her because it makes you feel good, you're going to want to know that she's good throughout the day. If that man is checking on you throughout the day, hey, I just want to hear your voice. Hey, I'm just checking in to see how you doing. Anything I could do for you. Hey, I was just thinking about something, reminding me of you. That's one of the best ways. Something reminded him, and this is randomly throughout the day on a norm. That man's emotionally invested into you. He's thinking about you. It's not out of sight, out of mind. And you're an important, integral part to his day just flowing the way it's supposed to flow. Another way that you know that a man is getting emotionally invested or already emotionally invested is if he apologizes anytime he compromises your safety. Now, I know some of y'all saying, well, he shouldn't even compromise my safety to begin with. A man don't, especially if you're in the first month or two, a man doesn't know every way that makes you uncomfortable, everything that poses an emotional threat to you. Y'all are still getting to know each other. So certain triggers, experiences that you had, he has no way of knowing this without either encountering those or you coming straight out to say, this is what's going on with me. And sometimes you don't even know. But if you make it clear to him, hey, that joke that you made, that made me feel uncomfortable. The way that you talked to me or handled me physically, or that thing that I saw you doing, that made me uncomfortable. I don't really like that. I'm not comfortable with that. And he's willing to apologize. That means for a man, I'm willing to put my ego aside. The way I feel about this woman, her continuing to be in my life and be comfortable in my life is more important to me than even my ego to always be right. Now, if he immediately gets defensive, if he immediately goes to deflect or turn it around on you, you're thinking too much into it, or you always tripping, everything's always a problem for you, he go to playing victim, gaslighting, manipulating, no. But if that man's first default is to apologize, by way of knowing that he hurt you, he's now bothered. Because a part of his whole MO is to protect you, safeguard you, bring a smile to your face. He know he ain't doing that. He's now let himself down. And that's letting you know that that man's emotionally invested in you. If a man can't apologize to you, more than likely he's not emotionally invested. Honestly, he might even be in a state of trying to sabotage. He might be doing stuff knowing that it's hurting you and hoping that you at some point get the strength to just stop messing with him. Easier than him being the one to cut it off. I know you don't want to hear it, but I'm keeping it real with you. And one more way that you know that a man is emotionally invested into you. And this one right here is I understand it's going to kind of raise some eyebrows. But if he introduces you to the woman he respects the most. Now, the asterisk to this is that he has respect for any woman in his life, period. There are some guys who just don't. But him introducing you to his homeboys don't mean nothing. Man, him introducing you. Y'all, I'm going to let y'all in on the G code real quick. Bro code, because I really don't believe in that anyway. There are guys that will literally show you off just as a trinket of who he got on his line this week. So y'all be thinking sometimes, oh, he's inviting me with his homeboys, I must be getting in with the guys. No, he just showing what he was able to pull. You beautiful, you got a nice shape, you got a lot going on. Yeah. Y'all look and see, I'm gonna have this next one with me. She gonna be with me. But one thing, especially if he has respectable women and they are honorable in terms of other women, y'all have a girl code where y'all want other women to be respected, even if y'all don't rock with them. This is why it's so disrespectful when a woman don't have a girl code. It's a little different with y'all. But if he introduces you to the woman that he respects the most, not necessarily his mama, Some guys ain't got no respect for their mama. But that one sister, his grandmother, somebody that he highly, highly respects, he can't bring just any old woman around her because those women are not going to look at him and pat him on the back for having different women every week. Now, again, this one's an asterisk. This one's probably the least universal. But if you notice that this man does have a high regard for women in general, but especially one woman in his life, he's not going to just let you meet her because he's going to be embarrassed if things don't work out. But if he's emotionally invested, he's already at the point where he's committed to making sure he does his part to make it work out. He has a certain level of belief that y'all are going to work out. So that's a sign that either he's already emotionally invested or looking for that last green light to fully open himself up into being emotionally invested. Very important that you use your discernment on this one because it can go either way. I'm just being real with you. Now, with that being said, don't think just because a guy don't care or he's not emotionally attached yet or at all, he's a bad guy. Sometimes it takes him a little bit more longer. Sometimes y'all are just too early in the talking stages and you just moved a little bit quicker. It don't mean he's a bad guy. The importance of knowing whether or not a man is emotionally invested is so that you're not the only one falling in love. So that you're not the only one thinking it's something that it's not. Cutting off the rest of your roster, making plans for the future, wedding bells and all that stuff. And he ain't thinking nothing about y'all having no type of future. You have to be aware of whether or not he's emotionally invested because you don't want to have expectations that don't match the nature of the relationship. Because of course, unmet expectations is the key to being disappointed and sometimes broken, heartbroken, mentally broken. Trust broken. And I especially want to, matter of fact, I'm thinking about it. I especially want to caution those of y'all who have overcome a lot, who have worked hard in your life for everything that you got. The reason why I want to caution y'all specifically as opposed to every other woman is because you're the most prone to thinking when you encounter something like this, you can inspire the change that you want to see. You can apply yourself and you can make this different. You can show him that, you're worth emotionally investing in or that it's safe to emotionally invest in you. I want to caution you with that because this ain't the rest of your life. This ain't your work. This ain't your health and fitness. This ain't you reading books and getting knowledgeable or watching me and getting the game. This is you dealing with a completely different individual who has their own willpower and free choice and experiences before you, attachment styles, traumas, intentions, everything else that you don't have control over. One of the hardest things for you as an overachiever, as an overcomer, as a woman that's worked hard in her life is to accept that you don't have control. I know I'm talking to somebody. It's so hard to relinquish control over things because in every other aspect of your life, you've worked it. You grind, you've focused, you've applied yourself, and you've been able to see a change in that what you wanted. This ain't one of those situations, especially when it comes to a man who's not even emotionally invested. Because at best, it's taking him a while. Sometimes a guy won't be emotionally invested on purpose because he's trying to keep one foot in and one foot out. Maybe get what he wants, but stay far enough away where he can leave whenever he's ready to without too much collateral damage on his end. And whenever you continue in entertaining and giving yourself to somebody who either refuses to be emotionally invested or doesn't have the capacity to right now, you end up being their internship. Why? Because you're going to continue giving the best of you, equipping them. They're going to appreciate that. They're going to appreciate the ways that you're teaching them and showing them different ways to view the world and plugging them in business-wise and all of these different things. And then they're going to take it to somebody else that they do want to be emotionally invested in. I don't know how many of y'all ever experienced something like that. Some of y'all don't even want to admit it, but it's true. And I'm not going to go too far in depth on that because I just did a masterclass called How to Stop Being His Internship so you can finally receive your blessing. For those of y'all who ever felt like you were the stepping stone to somebody else getting everything that you invested in, you were the trial and error and they're the final draft, they're the game time and you were supposed to be that. That's the matter of fact, if you missed that masterclass, and again, it's absolutely free, click the link that you see pinned down in the comments. Go ahead and register before it comes down. Or get access to it through the caption, the link in the caption. Either way, if you see this comment right here pinned by my page, get access to that masterclass now. Because I went in on how to prevent yourself from being the woman that prepares a man for the next woman. And finally getting over the hump to being the woman that a man must come prepared for. Because there's only two types of women to most men.